Hey everybody, it's Tim hitting the beast of the marching arts. Look who I'm here with, the wonderful Wayne Markworth. Wayne, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Nice to see you again, Tim.
I'm doing great too. So you were just mentioning about haircuts. So have you? I'm definitely missing a haircut. How about you? How are you doing with that?
Oh, I need to go. So I think they opened up last week. So I waited till the rush is over. So early next week I need to go.
Yeah, I have an appointment next week. I've been doing the sides, but the top, as you can see, is really kind of it's doing its own thing. So I don't usually have long hair, so it's interesting because every day it sort of looks completely different. You're like, what's it going to do today? Anyway, we're not here to talk about haircuts. Sorry, everybody. We're here to talk about the podcast is out today, which is three students who took the dynamic marching band course that Wayne and I created together, and then they're talking about that on the podcast. So I'm here to talk to Wayne about the podcast and also again about the course, because Wayne, the bottom line of all this is we created this online version of your marching methods course based on your book, The Dynamic Marching Band, that if there was ever a time that people can stop and get some great information and get ready to do a better job when they start back in the fall, it seems like this is the time.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we do have time on our hands. So I hope people take advantage of this. Um, Anything we can do to help, we would love to.
Absolutely. So there's a podcast out today at the Marching Roundtable where there were three students who took the course, and then we got together to talk about how they found it helpful, what they thought about the course itself. Now, what was really cool, Wayne, was I had just sort of randomly put out a thing saying, "Hey, anybody that's taken the course that would like to be on a podcast, let me know." And I had these three people that agreed to do it, and we set up the time to record, just like I do for a regular podcast. But I didn't really research very much about them. So what was really cool was when we sat down to do the podcast, it turned out that I had like the perfect setup. I had a college student who was preparing to be a band director. I had a color guard instructor who took the course and then was really excited about taking that back to her team. And then I had a band director who I think he'd been teaching for 10 or 12 years. And so it was this like perfect panel of people, as it turned out, to talk about it. And it was really interesting, the different perspectives that they all brought to it.
Yeah, I bet that would be interesting. And I will go listen to that as soon as we're done here, wrapping this up. But yeah, those are three totally different viewpoints. And hopefully it shows how the book can benefit and the course can benefit all different areas.
Yeah, absolutely. And they all had found great value in it, but they all had done it differently, just like you would expect. So I asked the college student, this is when you turn on the podcast today, anybody that's going to listen to it, you can find it on iTunes or at marchingroundtable.com. The first quote is from a college student, because I asked him, I said, okay, did you find this really intimidating as a college student once you realize that there's all this stuff you're supposed to know? I mean, because in the course, when you talk about how to teach winds and percussion and color guard and visual, and then how to deal with band boosters and how to recruit and how to do band camp and how to do, like, there's all these topics, because teaching marching band is this huge, huge undertaking, and there's so much you have to know. So I asked the college student, did you find this like really intimidating? And as you know, when you listen to the quote, he says that actually he found it comforting to him and sort of calming that he had this source of all this information. Because while it's intimidating to have to know all this stuff, he knew he didn't know all this stuff. And he felt like through the resource that we provided with the course and through your book, he felt like he had the information he needed to be able to move forward. I thought that was exactly the response I would want a college student to have.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. Did the college student have a marching band methods class at their school, at their college?
Oh, wow. It's been a while since we recorded it. I don't think so. So I think that this was someone who didn't have access to the course that was especially valuable to them. Now, if you guys listen and that's not the case, I don't remember. But I think that's the case. And a lot of people are in that situation. Of course, that's why one of the reasons we created this online version of the course is there are all these people that either don't have the course offered, or it's not required, or they don't take time to do it, or whatever. So he found it very, very valuable as he was about to, go out there into the world and have his own band this fall.
And sometimes a marching band methods is kind of wrapped up into an overall band methods class that you've got it, for a semester or a couple semesters, and that just winds up being a small segment. But as we know, it's it's such a huge time commitment that can be 3, 4, 5, 6 months of the year for the average band director.
Oh, so much you have to know. So anybody, you can go to marchingartseducation.com, and right there on the homepage is a graphic for the dynamic marching band course. You just click on it, it'll take you right to the course, and you'll see this hours and hours of content, lists of all the different topics. And we're encouraging people, if you're a current band director, you should get or consider using professional development funds through your school or your boosters to get yourself access. I mean, how could they not want you and your team to have like all this information about how to do all these things? And like Wayne, one of the things that they mentioned, the band director person on the podcast specifically mentioned how much he thought the rehearsal techniques part of what you talked about and the concepts about how everybody's sort of helping each other out and how the etiquette and rehearsal of how we talk to each other, how instructors talk to students, how students talk back. That really was impressive to them and really especially helpful.
Good. That's good to hear, especially from an experienced band director. And of course, I found that, teaching high school for 36 years, every year I would learn, every month I would learn something new and find a new way to do it and beg, borrow, and steal from other people and find out what works for you and your situation.
Absolutely. So again, everybody that's watching, we're talking about the dynamic marching band course, and the podcast is out today at the Marching Roundtable with 3 students who took the course. The third student was, as I mentioned, a guard instructor, and her perspective was also incredibly interesting because one of the things that you talk about is no matter what your role is on the band team or your staff, you need to know about everybody else's thing. And this guard person had mentioned that she thought it was really helpful to sort of understand, well, here's what the percussion team really needs and how they approach all of this and how we should interact with them, and et cetera, et cetera. And for her, there was a lot of information about how to interact better with her band director and that communication and stuff that you talk about. I think she found that especially interesting and helpful.
Yeah, and I bet the rehearsal techniques would help that person as well. And maybe some of them were more focused on the instrumentalist, but you just change the words to color guard or flag or something like that, and it's mostly applicable because it's concepts and philosophies mostly.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's really smart. And the other thing I want to mention is in the course, you talk a lot about learning styles. Am I saying that the right way? Like the different ways that students learn. Some are visual learners, some are oral learners. What's the third one? Tactile? What's the third one?
Yeah, kinesthetic.
Yeah, right. That was really interesting. I kind of tell you, Wayne, that comes up a lot as I'm having discussions, like in webinars or whatever, is we often talk about how we have to approach students differently and explain things to them in all the kinds of different ways. And I will often go, well, Wayne talked about that in the dynamic marching band course because it's so full of great concepts. But that's something that a lot of people find especially helpful. We all know that we have to approach students differently. They're all going to learn differently. We have to adjust how we explain things. But the fact that you sort of gave us this educational framework for that, I thought was really helpful.
I think my understanding of that came around real late in my career. I think you kind of know intuitively what you just said, but to really focus on it and realize the more specifics about multiple learning styles and what your students are, and so many old school teachers, band directors, would teach one way and they would teach every student the same way, or even a private teacher, they would teach everybody exactly the same way. And we know now that they don't learn the same way. So you have to vary your approach, and that's a little bit more challenging.
No, absolutely. And I do think a lot of good educators sort of do this intuitively. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching. By the way, Molly says hello, Wayne, to you. But we're talking about the dynamic marching band course. And again, to wrap this up, there's a podcast out today where 3 students who took the course talk about how they found it helpful. One was a guard instructor, one was a veteran band director, and one was a college student studying to be a band director. So you get all these different perspectives. Really would encourage everybody to check that out. If you're a band director out there, or especially if you're a student who's about to become a band director, I think this is the time that you can really invest in this. Wayne, all the time, as you mentioned at the beginning of this, a lot of people have time right now. There's a lot of online resources, which is awesome. This is something I would really encourage people to take the time, work through this. You don't even have to go in order. You can sort of say, I really need to hear about the band camp part today because I'm about to start planning my band camp. So read that, watch that segment, read the part in the book, watch the videos. It's really a very useful course.
Thanks. And you know, the other thing to think about in these unusual times we're living in is college um, situations. Music schools are a little bit up in the air right now as to what's going to happen this fall. And even at the school that I teach at, where I've taught marching band methods for 15 years, we still don't know what's going to happen. You know, will it be online learning anyway? Will it be in
Right.
class? It's all up in the air. So, um, you know, I think a lot of college music majors may choose to take advantage or might really look into taking advantage of this new opportunity.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that because I actually have been corresponding this week with a college professor who teaches marching methods. And he was having this conversation with me like, I think I might be doing virtual learning all fall at my university because some universities may be doing that again. And he was talking about, can we figure out a way for me to get access for my students to this version of the online course? And we're working on that because I told him, listen, absolutely, you could use Wayne's course plus the book plus, and then of course, imagine how great this would be, Wayne. I'm a college professor. Everybody watches the videos from Wayne's version. Then I have my own course, my own class with those students where we talk about what we saw in the videos and read in the book. And then I can add my own comments. We can talk about it. That's like the perfect scenario for how to work your way through the course is you have other students and another professor to guide you through the discussion. So if anybody's watching and you're a college professor and you're thinking you may have to do a virtual version, consider using Wayne's course. Contact me, tim@marchingroundtable.com. You might use Wayne's course and then have your class with your own students. Like Wayne, what a great setup that is.
Yeah, that could be terrific. And you know, one of the things we can't do in a video course is have students actually go observe real marching band live rehearsals. But that could be added to the course as a professor chooses to use it, or go see performances or go see videos. It wasn't possible for us to do that, but you know, that would only enhance the whole learning process.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And of course, in the course, there are all these suggested activities like that, like going to rehearsals, like going to performances that we suggest that students go through to enhance the process of the course. By the way, Matt Matthews, one of your students who took your course, is saying hello.
Hey, Matt.
So Matt, thanks for watching, and you too, Molly. And anybody else that's watching this now or later, thank you for watching. Just want to make sure everybody knew there's a podcast out today about Wayne's course. Wayne, I still think the course is really, really valuable. And I think now in this moment in time, everybody has some time to catch their breath and work on their skills and get some new ideas. I think it's a great time for anybody to check out the course.
So sounds good. And once again, thanks, Tim, for all the work you did to put it all together. And I just had to sit there and talk away, which I'm pretty good at, but the whole other packaging, not so good. So
well,
it was a good partnership, I think.
It was. I sort of did the facilitating of putting it together, but you were the one with the giant brain with all the great information to share. So between us, we got it done. But I do think it's really valuable. Find the podcast at marchingroundtable.com. Find the course, just go to marchingartseducation.com. Right there on the homepage, there's a graphic. It'll take you right to the course. Wayne, I hope a lot of people will check it out and consider taking it. Even if they've taken it before, they've taken another course, they've been a band directing for 40 years, whatever. Well, that would be something. But if it's been a lot of years, you can still learn because, we're talking about the most up-to-date things in the world of visual and amplification. All this stuff's included. So anyway, not to go on and on. Thank you for having this conversation with me today. Everybody out there, stay safe. Check out the course. Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.